The New England Patriots are in a very unique position. The Patriots dominated for so long, and now they find themselves potentially as the worst team in the AFC East, something I don't think anyone really expected as long as Bill Belichick was there. It's certainly been a new era without Tom Brady, and life is 100% harder without him. Last season didn't go exactly as planned for the Patriots. New England was pretty good in 2021 and ended up making the playoffs, but did take a big step back in 2022. The Patriots finished 8-9, and now there's legitimately questions of Bill Belichick's future, which, by the way, is just crazy to me. But the biggest question, and really just drama, is all at quarterback in New England. Mac Jones has been the starter for the past 2 seasons after the Patriots drafted him in the first round. There was a short stint last year where Bailey Zappi started in his place, but Mac ended up getting the job back when he returned from injury. There were definitely a lot of struggles last year for that offense after Josh McDaniels left for Las Vegas. Bill Belichick had Matt Patricia and Joe Judge run the offense, and well, neither of them are offensive-minded coaches, and it went awful, to the point where Mac Jones reportedly looked for outside help, and that apparently pissed off Bill Belichick. It sounds like he's still upset about that, to the point that the Patriots have reportedly shopped Mac Jones this offseason. Bill O'Brien is now the Patriots offensive coordinator, so New England actually does have a real OC this season, but Mac may not even get his chance to see what that offense looks like if the rumors turn out to be true. But I will say this, Mac Jones has performed exactly as expected under his recent circumstances. Nobody pre-draft said that Mac was this generational talent or athlete. In all aspects of an athletic quarterback, Mac Jones is pretty average, but that's okay because the Patriots didn't need to gamble on a generational talent, they needed a safe game manager. And that's exactly what Mac did extremely well in year 1. In his rookie year, the Patriots had a good system, good offensive line, and most importantly, a competent play caller. And Mac thrived, as many would have expected after seeing him do that exact same thing during his time at Alabama. Now, let's talk about the obvious disappointment that was year 2 for Mac. Yes, it was underwhelming, but are we really gonna sit here and put all this blame on Mac for how shit the team performed? Bill Belichick goofed by not naming an offensive coordinator. Plain and simple as that. The whole Matt Patricia play calling and Joe Judge quarterback shit was never going to work out. I know people will come in with the argument of,
oh, well, Bailey Zappi had some success.
Well, yeah, that's because Zappi had no prior NFL system to compare it to, so the adjustment was probably easier for him. As for Mac, he had an established working system in his rookie year under McDaniels, so when things weren't clicking, it was clear to Mac that what was happening was not up to the standard, and that's when we get into him calling for outside help of the organization and stuff, but I digress. Mac did have a down year, but I'm 100% gonna shift that blame to Belichick for the season being a failure overall. Even the greats can screw up from time to time, and that's exactly what Bill did. And because of that, all of a sudden fans and analysts think Mac needs to be on the move? I have a hard time seeing that and agreeing with it, honestly. If the Patriots were to trade Mac, I think they would be making a mistake. Mac has shown what he can do in a competent system with even mid-weapons, and by the way, he was a rookie when he led his team to the playoffs. That's something that seems to get swept under the rug like it doesn't even matter or something. If you don't think Mac is capable of bringing his team deep with the proper help from the front office and coaching staff, you clearly haven't watched enough of his play. Now, I'm not saying he's perfect, and there were definitely a lot of errors last season that fall on him as a player, but the extra context for last season very much matters in this instance. I think this trade stuff is all noise, and Mac will still be with the Patriots next year in my opinion. Give him another year behind center with a good play caller and decent weapons, and watch him prove the doubters wrong. The AFC East is getting more and more competitive by the day, so now it's really on Belichick and that coaching staff to give Mac everything he needs to succeed, and New England started to do that this offseason. The Patriots clearly want to make up for last season's shortcomings, and that was pretty clear this offseason. While there were some key losses, I feel like the Patriots did a pretty good job filling the holes. I know Patriots fans are gonna complain because they didn't land a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, but if you're a real Patriots fan, you knew that was never gonna happen, especially once the Patriots added Bill O'Brien as the offensive coordinator. Hell, if I was D-Hop, I wouldn't want to come play for the guy that essentially lit my old organization on fire. However, I do like the additions that they did bring in. As a lifelong Patriots fan, you can probably expect that I'm a huge tight end fan.
Nice.
I grew up with Gronk and even other tight ends that were dominant, that I probably shouldn't be talking about because they went on to do, well, not great things, but Gronk may be my favorite player of all time. So keeping it in that same position group, I'm going to start with Mike Gesicki, who the Pats signed to a one-year, $9 million contract. I've actually really enjoyed watching him in Miami for the last few years. Whether it's his acrobatic catches against the Texans last year, or his just pure talent as a route runner, I'm actually super stoked for this addition. He did see a dip in production last season. The coaching change with Mike McDaniel coming in and changing up the scheme and stuff didn't help. And of course, Tua being hurt a lot definitely could have contributed to the lack of production, but I think him coming to New England is great. If you watched the Patriots back in 2021, you saw just how good Mac and tight end Hunter Henry played together. And I think adding another dynamic tight end in Mike Gesicki could give us our first true resurrection of that dual tight end system that worked so well for New England back in 2011. Of course, the Pats traded away Jonnu Smith to the Falcons, and to be completely honest with you guys, I thought he was just kind of a waste of money, but regardless, Gesicki is a clear upgrade and could be a very valuable weapon in the Patriots passing game. Speaking of the Patriots passing game, probably the biggest name they added was wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, who signed a pretty big 3-year, $33 million deal. This is a move that I don't entirely hate, but it's kinda hard to make sense of it. Juju has had his spurts of being great, but the context is super important for him. When he was playing with Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh, he was nasty, but as soon as he got his shot to be that guy, he's kind of underperformed. I'm not saying he's not a good player and can't be a valuable addition, but if this is the Patriots' attempt at a solution for the lack of a true number one wide receiver, then it surely isn't enough. Juju is a great wide receiver too, and he can be super productive in that role, like we saw in his career high year in 2018 in Pittsburgh, or even this past year in Kansas City when he had over 900 yards. But without a true number one or other weapon to take the majority of the attention away from Juju, you're probably not going to get the best product out of him, which is pretty concerning with the Patriots' current wide receiver room. On top of that, I'm still a little upset that they decided to give him a contract and not Jacoby Myers, who I've just come to love over the years. I mean, they're essentially the same caliber of player, so I don't really know why they decided to do that, but we'll get back to that later. In the backfield, the Patriots filled a hole by signing James Robinson to a 2-year, $8 million deal. I'm excited for this. I mean, it's no secret that Ramondre Stevenson is running back one, and trust me, he's an absolute stud and, in my opinion, incredibly slept on, but James Robinson can be a great running back too for the Patriots. He was electric back in his time in Jacksonville. I mean, pre-Urban Meyer, of course, but outside of that, I don't think he's really had an opportunity to showcase his talents to the full extent, and I think he'll definitely get that opportunity in New England. The Patriots have always kind of had the by committee approach when it comes to running backs, and while I think Ramondre will still get a good share of the carries, Robinson will no doubt have his chance to shine at times. Now, on the note of running backs, they really can't do anything without a decent offensive line, and the Patriots made some additions to help with depth there as well. As you know, the Patriots have some decent guys on that line already, like David Andrews and Trent Brown, among other guys, but injuries have kind of been a problem, especially last year. David Andrews has kind of been an injury mess over the past 2 years, and at times the tackle play for New England can feel a little shaky, so these additions are super helpful. Riley Reiff is the big one that I wanted to bring up. He's a true vet with plenty of experience who can come in and perform well if needed. Overall, I would grade the Patriots' offseason moves with player acquisitions and coaching changes as a pretty solid B. It hasn't been super flashy, but anything is an upgrade after last season. Now, as great as the additions were, the Patriots also lost some key players, but luckily not too many. Running back Damian Harris left New England for the division rival Bills, who gave him a 1-year deal, and while that is a key loss, like I said, I think New England did a good job filling that hole with Robinson. Damian Harris has had his moments for sure, and even for a moment there, I thought he was that guy. In 2021, he had a hell of a year rushing, where he went for almost 1,000 yards, but as soon as Stevenson started to see some serious playtime, it became pretty clear who the better running back was. Now, I still like him and think he can be great for Buffalo, but he's definitely more of a run downhill type of back as opposed to Stevenson, who's just super elusive and can make crazy cuts to find gaps. I personally hope he has success in Buffalo, and I wish him nothing but the best, but I don't think that's really going to hurt the Patriots too much this next season. This next one, though, really hurts. Me. I don't know about the Patriots, but it hurts me. Jakobi Meyers left New England in free agency and signed a 3-year, $33 million deal in Vegas to play for the Raiders. Coincidentally, that's pretty much the exact same contract the Patriots gave to Juju, something I really don't understand, but moving on. I feel like I've made it pretty clear. I love Jakobi Meyers, and he's done nothing but impress me since coming into the league as an undrafted free agent back in 2019. And this is probably more fandom speaking than actual statistic-backed facts, but I would have much preferred the Patriots to just have kept Meyers. He already has that familiarity with Mac, and they were super productive together. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and now Meyers is a Raider. And I, for one, think he's going to be great there, playing alongside Davante Adams. It hurts to lose him, and I do have concern that the chemistry between Juju and Mac isn't going to be as strong as it was between him and Meyers, but for now, I'll remain optimistic about the move no matter how much it pains me. Another key loss actually didn't come from a player leaving for another team, but came as a result of retirement, and that's Devin McCourty. The longtime defensive captain decided to hang up the cleats just 1 year after his brother Jason did. While this stings and leaves a hole where a once reliable player once stood, I think after watching New England last year, it was pretty clear it was probably time to hang him up. I wish him the best in retirement and can't thank him enough for what he did for the Patriots team, but unlike the past two guys I brought up, I think this could potentially hurt, but honestly, it was probably about time it happened anyway. New England has some good players on the offensive side of the ball. If I haven't already made it super clear, I was really impressed with Ramondre Stevenson last season. He was really good last year when Damian Harris was out and finished the year with over 1,000 rushing yards, despite not really taking over as the main guy until later in the season. Juju Smith-Schuster is, I would assume, the new top wideout, but behind him is Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne. Parker was okay in his first year in New England after they traded for him. He's a fine number 2, and Kendrick Bourne wasn't great last year, but I'm going to go ahead and chalk that up to play calling because he did show what he was capable of in 2021 after he had 800 yards. Hunter Henry is a good tight end. I mean, he's had 4 straight years with over 500 yards after a torn ACL in 2018. Henry has been super good in New England after being signed 2 seasons ago, and also he's a pretty elite red zone target. I also feel pretty good about the offensive line. I mean, David Andrews is still at center despite injuries and stuff, and Cole Strange and Trent Brown round out that left side of the line well. On the other side of the ball, the biggest name worth mentioning on that defense has to be Matthew Judon, just because of how amazing he was last season. Judon had 15.5 sacks and has 28 sacks in his 2 years in New England. He's just a stud, and bringing him in is no doubt one of the best moves New England has made recently. The most interesting group on that D is probably going to be the secondary. The Patriots did re-sign Jonathan Jones at cornerback, Kyle Duggar is good at the strong safety spot, and then Jabril Peppers also re-signed, and he'll man the other safety spot. But we could definitely see the Pats make some moves to help bolster the D at the draft. So the Patriots own the 14th pick at the 2023 NFL Draft, and there are a lot of different things that they could do with the pick, and you really never know with New England because they always seem to trade down, which is infuriating as a fan, by the way, just watching and waiting. It's just awful. Mel Kiper in his 3rd mock draft has the Patriots selecting Joey Porter Jr., the cornerback out of Penn State. He'd play opposite of Jonathan Jones and then maybe steal the spot of Jack Jones, but he did just have a pretty solid rookie season. Porter is very physical and would be helpful in the run game and is just overall a Bill Belichick type of guy. Kiper did add that he nearly slotted in Ohio State wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba, which would be the much more interesting option. He was a beast for the Buckeyes, and boy have the Patriots had wide receiver issues as of late. Trust me, No, I'll never forget N'Keal Harry. Daniel Jeremiah went with a bit of a more controversial mock. He had the Patriots taking Texas running back Bijan Robinson. Bijan is so good, but he is just a running back, and teams don't really like going after running backs in the first round, and for pretty good reason. At the same time, the Patriots do their own thing, and very well could go completely against the grain and simply take the best player available, if that is Bijan. Like I said, they could do a lot with the pick. No, I don't think it'll be Bijan, and I kind of laugh at that mock. That's not even remotely close to the top of the Patriots draft needs this year, and if they took him at 14, I would honestly lose a lot of hope for this next season. I'd selfishly like them to go wide receiver with the first pick, and the closer we get to the draft, the more and more I really like Jackson Smith-Njigba at that spot, but at the same time, I'm not really going to complain if the Patriots go corner there either, because that's definitely a need for them. Now, Joey Porter Jr. wouldn't be my top pick at cornerback, but I mean, taking into context where the Patriots are picking at at 14. I'm assuming guys like Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez aren't going to be there. So if that's who the Patriots can land at 14, I'd be pretty content with that. When it comes to expectations for the 2023 New England Patriots, I really have a hard time seeing where they finish, especially before I see the finalized schedule. I still don't think the Patriots can beat the Bills as of now, although Josh Allen's recent interception trouble has me second guessing at times, and the Dolphins can definitely beat the Pats, if Tua can wrap his head in bubble wrap and stay healthy. As for the Jets, I think everything with them kind of depends on if Rodgers goes there or not. If he does go there, there's a pretty good chance that the Pats can finish fourth in their division. That's not to say that the team is bad, but I mean, come on. When you side by side compare them with the rosters of the other teams in the East, it's kind of hard to make any other argument. With that being said, it's also possible that the Patriots pull off a miracle and make the playoffs. They got Bill O'Brien, and that alone should fix the play calling issues on the offense for the Patriots. They brought in some weapons that should boost the offensive production. Like I said, it wasn't anybody crazy, but enough solid pieces to call this offense an upgrade from last year. The defense for New England always seems to kind of work itself out under Belichick. They weren't anything crazy last year, but definitely a solid unit, and I don't really expect that to change much. The NFL is always incredibly difficult to predict before everything is finalized, but I'm continuing to keep hopes high that Matt can turn it around after a down year 2, and the Patriots can figure out a way to get back to the playoffs. Patriots fans are always so quick to criticize, and a lot of that is due to the results they experienced over a 20-year span with Brady. Trust me, I love those years, but we're not there anymore. That era is over, and now the Patriots are just like any other team and have to work towards rebuilding. That's just the nature of the game. Build to win, hopefully win it all, and then rebuild again. If you're someone who wants Mac out, or even crazier wants Belichick out, take a deep breath and give it another year or two before you start calling for heads to roll, because I think this team could show some serious promise in 2023.